Hello, I'm Dr. Dana, or just Dana. Will be a doctor by December. Um, I want to talk to you about soft life living. So, that's a trend in women talking about that they want to have the soft life, especially Black women, because we generally do not have a soft life in any aspect of our lives. And, it was interesting because it's hard to get 100% behind some of the ways people were talking about it, at least for me, because a lot of times it was all about, finding your rich, big daddy who's gonna, take care of you and allow you to have this soft life. And, there's not a whole lot of those around here, first of all. But aside from that, is that what you really want? Or do you want it on your own terms? And like for me, I wouldn't mind meeting my, big daddy. He doesn't have to be a rich big daddy, just, the one that's the right guy for me. But I also think that there's layers and levels of soft life, right? It doesn't have to be that you meet some fantasy dude that meets all of your tick box requirements that no person could possibly meet, and then they sweep you off your feet and then magically you don't have to work anymore. You get to go to all these lavish places, live in this lavish home, travel everywhere, eat what you want, do what you want. I mean, people that win the lotto can't even keep it together that well. So, like, what would be the soft life that works for you? And I was thinking about that for myself. Like, I definitely want to travel. I definitely, would like to buy another home. And I think I have really specific things that I like for my home. You could probably find a lot of them in a pre-made home, but probably if I was gonna just, like if it's your ultimate fantasy, you can do whatever you want and you got all the money you need and all that, I'd probably build something custom, just because that's how my brain works. And, I'd want to make sure that my family's covered. I think, if I have enough money to buy everything I need and most of what I want without being ridiculous, and if I can work some but not like have to work my fingers to the bone, I'm okay with that. I think I'd go a little crazy if I was just home all day and everything was just done for me. I'd like some things to be done for me for sure, but I think more than anything I'd want it to be that I could buy back some of my time. So like, pay for a housekeeper for sure. I'd love that time back to not have to do like, dishes, laundry, dusting, whatever, housekeeping. I may pay someone to run some errands for me to buy back that time. And I'd do some things for myself. I'd probably have a personal trainer. I like to cook, so I don't necessarily think I'd necessarily pay for someone to cook all my food, but probably I'd work with, and I may still do that anyway, work with like a nutritionist or someone to make sure, as I'm learning myself too, functional nutrition, so work on what are the optimal things for me to be eating to make sure that I'm keeping my body in as good shape as possible and keeping my health. You can use food as medicine, right? So I would want to really work on functional nutrition. A lot of places I want to see, so definitely some travel. And there's a lot of volunteering things that I'd like to do. So I'd like to have time to do that. So again, I think for me, soft life looks like trading less time for money so that I could then pursue my other interests and add to the world in other ways. And so, you know, if you have the soft life based on someone else paying for everything for you too, then you are beholden to whatever it is they want from you in return, right? Nothing is for free. I don't care, you know, what you say. So, I mean, it could just be that you keep a nice home. It could just be that you keep your body together. It could just be that you are, you know, a good support system and that kind of thing. And that could be great if that's all it is. There could be other things, right? I think that optimally it would be nice to share a soft life with someone who also wants, you know, a little bit of that, and you guys figure out what it looks like together. And so, you know, maybe you plan a few trips during the year together and a couple of weekend getaways. And of course, you know, I like my little daily meanderings. I did one today. My son and I went to brunch after church. We went to brunch, and we went for a long drive after, and we went and looked at a couple of $5 or $6 million houses just to see what they look like, just to dream a little bit. And we're in a neighborhood where these houses have like spectacular panoramic views of the ocean and of the LA basin. So you could see everything from downtown all the way out to Catalina and everything like that. And when I tell you, these people are living a different life. It's, you know, it's very green, it's very calm, it's very peaceful, it's very clean, you know, and you're like, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. And, you know, but it was nice just to open up your thoughts and your dreams a little bit. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be that neighborhood, but my grandmother, same grandmother who said there's something in nature for everything, to cure everything, also said if you reach for the Rolls Royce, you'll at least get the Cadillac. And it's true, right? If you have to have some dreams, you have to have some goals. They don't all have to be material, obviously. But if you don't have something that you're working towards, how do you get there? And so we also just like real estate. And we've gone and done this off and on. Now my son kind of asks for it on the weekends, like, can we go see an open house? Sure, let's go see one while we're out. And we happen to be on the side of town where, for the brunch, where, you know, these $1 million houses were right there. And so we drove around the peninsula and looked at some $6 million houses. And it was interesting because just because it's that expensive doesn't mean it's what you like, right? We saw 2 this time. And the first one is very light and bright, which I like a lot. The whole downstairs, the floor of everything in the whole downstairs was all like a light marble. And it was nice, but I was like, I don't know if I want marble through the whole house. Had beautiful ocean views. It was interesting though, because I remember thinking I'd like a little more outside land, like a little more green space. For me, my soft life includes having space to plant things. I want to be able to plant fruits and vegetables and flowers and garden some. And I want a pool and a hot tub and all of that too. But I want to have space to have a couple of animals, a couple of dogs, and probably a couple of horses. And this place was on the side of a hill, and it was, you know, pretty steep drop. They had a couple fruit trees, which was nice, but no real green space. And the pool and spa were nice. But I still wanted a little bit just more outdoor area that you could entertain or, just breathe, right? So, The upstairs, I think it had 5 bedrooms and it was a little over 5,000 square feet. And the bedrooms were nice enough. 1 or 2 of them were kind of small. And there was like one that's the primary, because now you don't say master bedroom anymore, right? Primary had a nice sitting area, a really nice bathroom. The closet wasn't all that. And the other room that's similar to a primary, nice room, beautiful view, closet was not all that. And then I realized that was the theme throughout the whole house. And I'm like, there's no way I'm paying $6 million and I don't still have enough closet space. So, you know, we saw it. It was beautiful. Not the one. And we just kept driving. We were actually just driving on our way back around. We took the long way back around towards the house and passed a sign that said garage sale / estate sale. And I was like, you know what? That could be fun to see what is happening. It was attached to a real estate sign. I was like, probably somebody passed away. And, you know, maybe the kids are like trying to clear the house so they can sell it. And that was sort of the case. They were moving the grandfather or somebody out and they were just trying to pare down. And so that house actually was already sold. And I don't even know. I should have asked them how much they sold it for, but it's not really a good question to ask. It's not my business. But that one, you could tell, was built in the 70s and had never been touched. So whoever's going to buy it, or whoever did buy it, is going to do a total flip. Sure. Okay. So we passed by the third and kind of meander up to it. That one was also $6 million. Now, when I tell you, that house had a panoramic view from probably way past East LA, all the way across LA, all the way around. You could see the whole beach, well up past probably Malibu and all of that, and down past, Palos Verdes and out to Catalina. And so it had an ocean and a city view. But I mean, the way the house was built, it's a party house. But then the outside, it had some grass. They had put AstroTurf down, so they weren't going to do any yard maintenance. But they had taken down the glass that surrounded it. It was also on a hill. It's a hilly area. And it was just a straight drop. And I said, wow, okay, so I couldn't buy this house even if I wanted to, because if anybody ever brought their children around, or if somebody got a little tipsy at a party, or if my child had a seizure, you roll down the hill. So as beautiful as that one was, and it was like 2.5 stories, it had an elevator, I couldn't do it. And still, even though I liked the layout of that house better, the closet sucked. And so, that's one of the things, right? If you buy older houses, they may have more character, but the closets may not be that great. If you buy newer houses, they may have smaller rooms, but then they might have a bigger closet. And so you want that sweet spot of, maybe I have something built that has some old world character, but the new world conveniences, which is probably why I would have it built. But that was a long digression, I know. But just, I think it's good to dream, right? And think about, you have to be able to envision yourself in the life you want to be in and the circumstance you want to be in. And so, what would a good week for me look like if I'm not living for the weekend and I'm not too overstressed because I have enough money? It doesn't mean that I don't work. It just means that it's not encroaching on every little thing else in my life, right? Or you can do it in somewhat your timetable and in your own way. And to a certain extent, honestly, that's why I started this channel too, right? Some of it's creative expression, and some of it is, I want to find a way where I can trade less time for money and make enough money to, cover what I've got to cover, and or to keep doing what I'm doing, but also save money. If I monetize, I'm going to say when, because that's how we get down. When I monetize, that, maybe that's the money I use to invest. Maybe that's the money I use to pay down my debt. Maybe that's the money that I use to travel. And in that way, whatever the things are, it relieves some stress. It allows you to have that rest that you want, that rest that I want. I think everybody should have a side hustle or a side interest that can become that. My mom used to always say, if you do the things you love, then the money will follow and it won't feel like so much work because you're doing something that you enjoy. And I enjoy creative expression. I think that as I continue to learn more about health modalities that I want to use and try, I would love to be able to share it. And if in the process I can also do something that benefits my family financially, then so much the better, right? And so here I am. I'm gonna keep after, it's kind of group therapy too, right? I think it was also just good to get out, get some daylight, some vitamin C, some vitamin D. Just remember how beautiful things are. And I didn't find that, and my son, he's kind of like, well, I think you deserve this, and I can't wait until you have this or that, but it's never for himself. It's always him thinking about me, which I think is super sweet. But I also want him to, think about some things and want some things for himself, not always material things again, right? But like to know that he deserves that happiness too, and that he can have a full life. He can have all of the experiences that adult people want to have. I want that for him, and I want him to really know that he's worth that. And so he's always very loving and supportive and protective towards me, and he's like, Mom, I just want you to be happy. I want you to feel like I feel like you deserve this or that. And it's not always about what we deserve, but I think we have the opportunity to, as long as we're still breathing and as long as we're willing to put in the effort, we still have the opportunity to shape our lives a little bit in the direction we want to go. I think in another video I want to talk about manifesting, and I'm still working through how I feel about manifesting, because some people will talk about like the name it, claim it, I did this all by myself, and all I had to do was just think I was the bestest thing ever. Or even, some of what I said, picture yourself in the situation, and then like it magically, make something happen. I don't believe in magic. I think, things take work, things take effort, things take consistency. But I also believe in, if I have to hustle a little harder for a while so I can have a softer life later, then that's good too. I think that for me, the way I look at it is I have to listen for discernment and clarity, and I have to listen to my intuition, and I have to do my part. I have to do the work. And so, I'm going to continue to be a hard worker. I'm going to continue to also try to do some things to balance it out like this. And I'm going to continue to try to make the best choices with the resources that I have, so that I get to the point where I have more time and more money, more options. I think options are always good, right? Options to live where you want, options on how you spend your time, options for your food choices, for your medical care choices. If I want to see a specialist for something, or if I want to see, you know, the woman that's the guru of whatever kind of treatment, or the man, then I want to feel like I can, you know, I have the resources to do that. And then, yeah, sometimes you just want to shop, right? But I like to, you know, splurge on a few things. But if I can find it at a better deal, so much the better. And then I feel like I feel like I brag more about where I save money than if I spent too much money. And I feel like then if I can get to a point where I have the ability to have the soft life because I've achieved a certain, you know, financial level, then I'm also going to really enjoy the philanthropic things that I want to do. Not just writing a check, but being able to really put some time and effort and use this, help some people. I wouldn't say, you know, reach back and pull up, although, you know, sometimes, but just more like, because I don't want to feel like, you know, I'm up here and they're behind back there. That's not where I'm going with it, but more like helping more people to figure out what works well for them to achieve the goals that they have. And, you know, like teaching a person to fish, right? So somebody taught me how, and my mom was a teacher for 34 years. She always said, you know, don't leave the person ignorant. You know, if you have some information that you can share that will help them understand better, whether, you know, it's cultural differences, whether it's, you know, a math problem, whether it's whatever, if you can teach somebody something, do that. Because it helps everybody, right? It helps them to understand better. It may help them treat someone else better, or to handle a situation better, and all of that. So I want to get to a point where I know that in addition to the ways that I already donate, and the ways that I already mentor, and the ways that I already work really daggone hard, that I can do more out of my abundance. And so that would feel like a soft life to me, and a blessing. And so I'm working on it. So, like, what are you working on to get where you want to be? Are you consistent with it? Like, you don't have to be perfect. I took a master class. I think I said that in one of the previous videos, and I have watched it a couple times. You know, you get the replay with the purchase. It was about how to get to a certain point on YouTube. But most of what she said was just consistency. Like, don't make excuses to hold yourself back. Don't wait till it's perfect, and clearly I haven't done that. And, you know, be easy with yourself a little bit, but like keep going. And over time, you get that cumulative effect. It's the same way as like, if you keep going with your savings and you're investing, over time, you get that cumulative effect of the compounding, right? Compound interest. So I'm working on compound interest here. And supposed to be doing 100 videos in 100 days. I haven't kept up every day. I think I'm behind by about 4 days. But today is a 2-for day. And I will work on a couple of more 2-for days and catch it back up. Commit to that for myself. And see where I am in 100 videos. And see if it's still something I want to do. If I've built an audience. If I've learned some more things about myself. If I've figured out how I'm going to get to the soft life the way it should look for me. So on that note, this is Added Beauty. I hope we're adding some beauty to your life. I'm working on adding some to mine. I always want to end it with a little bit of a grounding moment. So let me do that. It feels good. It reminds me that I can always take a deep breath and start again. Take a deep breath and keep going. And so can you. I hope you will like, subscribe, and let's go on this journey together, see how far we can go.